Cool.
All right. Welcome back
Welcome back.
to the Lousy Show.
Back
I'm
shots.
Joe.
We're doing this again. It's so played out. I'm not even. No. I'm
Don
Joe.
Cheadle.
This is me. He's me, and I'm you.
You who, what, when.
You can stare at that camera all day long. Doesn't matter. For a second, I actually thought you were frozen. I was like, "Yo, is your camera frozen again?" Like, you have a problem with that, so you had me there for a second.
Got him. But no, I'm Sam.
Got him.
He's Joe. And we have a special guest for the first time.
Special,
Yeah.
all
How many
right.
episodes have we done? This is
100
49?
and a few. So,
Oh,
including Am I the
podcast.
Assholes. Probably like 50 or 60, something like that.
I think this is 49. We've done 49 podcast episodes. Well, 48 podcast episodes. We've never had a guest.
That's crazy. Well,
Making
first time for
history
everything.
here.
So,
I think, well, also, I will say this. Hold on. Everybody, welcome in our good buddy, Hatter, Mr. HatterVA. Before I get into this, make sure to go to the description right now if you haven't yet. Go check out the links we posted for him. Check out his YouTube, youtube.com/HatterVA, and his Twitch, twitch.com/HatterVA. Are you streaming anywhere else?
No, just Twitch and TikTok. That's about it.
Okay, and well, I'll post the TikTok was all in there too.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
probably
go
ball.
check those out. Show him some love. We greatly appreciate it. I was gonna say, I think if you really like go back and look, especially when we were on site, it was a lot more difficult to have guests then
Very, for sure. Yeah. Way more difficult.
because we would have had to get them to fly to Texas.
Yeah. Or have an
Or I
already
mean, I
be
guess
in
we
Texas.
could. Yeah, I guess we could in some way have done like a digital thing, but it would have been weird because we'd
That
have
would
had
have
like
been hard. Yeah.
yeah,
That would have been really
TV
hard.
above the TV, just them sitting right there.
Yeah.
yeah, that'd have been weird. But this is a lot easier. This
Yeah.
this makes it a lot.
This is one of the
a lot easier.
advantages of doing a remote podcast is we can easily have remote guests. And so we'll probably start actually incorporating that a little bit more.
Let us know if there's any
Yep.
guests you'd like to see on the show.
Yep.
We'd
We're
love to get.
already-
We'd love to collaborate.
We already submitted to Two Bears podcast, see if we can have Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer on here. So far, we
God,
have
dude.
not heard anything, but and I doubt we ever will. But
Bert,
yeah.
Bert, hear me out.
Bert,
Having Bird on. Oh
Tom.
no.
Oh God.
2 seconds into the podcast, if I get like the whole damn time.
I feel like that would probably be the top 2 most drunk I'd ever be. Like easily. Just like we're here. All right, cool. Yeah.
I just have to hope that I actually click recording.
Everclear, just on standby.
But
Oh man. Well, Hatter, again, thank you for joining us
Yeah, thanks for
on
coming,
such
man.
short notice.
Absolutely.
yeah, we literally texted him right before we started recording.
Like,
Yeah.
I was right down the road. I was like, "Oh, I got my Chinese food. This gonna be the shit."
The reason why, however, you'll have to wait until this weekend when Am I the Asshole comes out, because we explained then why it was so last minute, and yeah, we'll leave that for y'all to hear then. But we appreciate the last minute
Are we in
hop
trouble?
on.
Is that bad?
We are fucked. Okay, like we've said some shit and we toe the line way too often. That may be why people watch us. I don't know,
Yeah, probably.
but
like a Dragon Ball style, like next time on the Lousy Show. Joey says what slur?
not me. No.
Just
No. Wait. No. 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 This weekend, y'all are gonna really like this weekend's episode. Very, very, very juicy. And the stories were awesome. And having a third individual to join us was very new for us to
Yeah.
have commentate these stories. So
It was
gives new
fun.
perspective.
Yeah. Mhm.
Gives a very.
Definitely. Very.
I was going to give it away,
colorful.
but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Watch this weekend.
Very, very colorful.
Yeah. Have no fear. No. Anyways. Oh man. No. This today's episode. So I'll be very, very clear and frank ahead of time. I'm just gonna. Future Sam, just go ahead and put this up. Trigger warning here. Trigger warning, because if you couldn't tell by the thumbnail, this episode's gonna be a lot about mental health, and just celebrating this month being Men's Mental Health Month. We felt like this would be a great opportunity for us to dive into our mental health journey, and be able to offer maybe an outside perspective if you're going through something. I mean, guys, I know, I don't know what the percentages look like right now, but I know we have a lot of ladies who watch the show, and a lot more ladies who watch the show, I should say, but we do have guys out there who watch, and ultimately, we want y'all to be seen. We want your mental health to be seen, and heard and understood. And that's what this is all about. This might get very deep. It may be lighthearted. Who knows? Typically mental health doesn't stay lighthearted, and that's okay. But yeah, that's what this episode's all about. It's just being able to talk it out, especially with what I've been going through lately. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of what drove us to do this is June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and so we're really deciding to kind of take a more serious note for a second, not be quite as lousy, and kind of talk about this. And Hat was available to come in and help offer a perspective, and that's totally why we got him here.
I say Joe and them definitely know the mental health journey I've been through.
Yeah,
it's I say each of us have had our own different journeys, so to speak, and this allows us to talk about that in more depth, and also be able to offer, like I said, that general consensus to everyone of just. You're not alone here. That really is something that I think a lot of people forget oftentimes is you're not alone. And I'll say this to that effect, and I'll hop in the deep end, boiling water and all. Extremely male take coming up. But especially in today's day and age, guys aren't heard.
Yeah.
Just, guys aren't heard. Where if we speak up, it's oftentimes met with pushback or some sort of, push off of like, hey, you're fine. You'll be fine. Just man up,
Yeah.
And I think that oftentimes, especially when we hear stuff like that, we just feel lost. We feel like, okay, well, you know what? If no one here cares, then why should I,
Yeah.
I think one of the best things I've heard, and I'm trying to figure out the word because there's a specific word that he used. Conditionally. So Chris Rock did a comedy special a long time ago, and one of the things he said was men are the only people on this planet who are loved conditionally. Everyone else is loved unconditionally. But in meaning essentially, no matter what the situation is, you'll be loved. But men have always been loved under conditions of so long as you provide, so long as you have stability, so long as the checklist goes on and on and on. And I think that is commonplace to the mental health discussion of when you look at the perspective to how we are treated when we say, hey, the mental health's not good. It's oftentimes met with, you'll be fine. Have you paid the bills this week? And you hear that a lot. You do hear that a lot, just from that perspective of who all's been going through what. Like, there's always that condition underlying of, but did you XYZ? Have you XYZ to make sure the stability's there and such? And like, I hate to say it, but like, men have grown so accustomed to this that it feels second nature for us to just push away our personal feelings.
Yeah. Well, that is just considered a sign of weakness for whatever reason, to have these feelings and to feel, not so much of a man, quote unquote. And so, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a stigma. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. What were you saying, Hatter?
I said, it's like the whole thing of, if you cry, you're a pussy. Oh, if you like this, you got man up. Like, it's all that.
Well, and so I'll break the ice here. I've always been an open book an extrovert individual who can talk just about anything. Recently, I would say, especially with moving here, I got hit with a pretty hard wake up call, and from my brain. And that was, that when I was in Texas, I had such a stability with my day-to-day schedule and such a routine that I didn't take into account the fact that, hey, you should probably make sure the mentals are good before you decide to go travel halfway across the country and break that routine with no fallback. And so when I got here, I mean, like, my mental health took a monster nosedive. And I fully admit, like, I faked a smile for the camera. Like, if I went live or if I was recording for all of you gorgeous folks out there, like, I faked a smile. There was one night where Sam and I literally sat here for an hour before we recorded, and I was in tears.
Yeah.
I was in genuine tears, just sitting here, like, and I didn't have any direction. I didn't feel like I had any motivation. I didn't feel like I had any common understanding of why I was feeling the way I felt. And not to worry, since then gotten into therapy, and I'm already feeling better because it made sense when my therapist mentioned to me, like, hey, have you given yourself any time to, like, actually do you? Have you were in such a routine, was that actually doing stuff for you, or was it doing stuff because it was a routine? Like, when was the last time you did something for you? And explaining to me, like, my feelings and understanding of, like, I don't have to say this, but I'll say it. Like, I'm a big kid at heart. And the way she put it was like, imagine all of your feelings are on this giant ship. And let's say that you're going through something and you say, you know what, these feelings don't matter right now. And you exile them off the boat. Well, what's going to happen is that feeling is going to feel alone, neglected, overwhelmed, and eventually get so, big and angry that you now go, oh shit, what do I do with this? And it just bursts. And that individual is now, this problem, right? And hearing it as such a fashion, it made a lot more sense to me, going like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, since I moved here, yeah, I've been going and doing stuff, but, like, I haven't done it for me. I was doing it for my son or my oldest son or my family. I was doing it for friends. I was, all these things I was doing, but I really wasn't, like, I was trying to tell myself that I was doing it for me, but I really wasn't. Like, I was just, like, trying to focus so hard on everyone else that I neglected myself. And once I got that focus, I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. Like, I just, being able to shift that focus back of, okay, these feelings are valid. What can I do to address that further on? What can I do to provide myself the same happiness that I'm providing to everyone else?
Yeah.
And it just goes to show, like, I tell you, when I would spend nights sitting here at my desk, like, lights off, just, I could see people hanging out in the Discord or hanging out in, playing video games, or people streaming, or whatever's going on that I could be a part of. My brain was telling me, you don't deserve that.
Yeah.
You don't deserve that. You don't deserve that time. And you really, like, just speaking from perspective, like, from my own situation, like, you really start to believe it after a while. You really start to believe it. Like, even if I could go talk to my wife and tell her, like, hey, this is what I'm feeling right now. Like, I've never had to navigate this before, and I don't know what I'm doing. And the hardest thing to admit is it's fucking scary.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
It's fucking terrifying, because especially if you've never navigated that before, or this area of mental health, you may have had something else happen, but you've never been in this vein before. It's fucking agonizing, because you just desperately want an answer as to, why do I feel like this? And I am thankful for all of my friends. I am thankful for everyone who talked to me, and made sure I was getting help, because, to the same conversation, like I said, Sam, you and I sat here for an hour and talked. And the first thing you said was like, are you seeing a therapist? Cause I think it's time to do that, brother. Like, you were very much on it of like, hey, I'm going to listen to what you're saying, but I think you really need to seek that help. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we actually say that enough, right? I don't think that's said enough of like, hey, I can listen, but you need to get actual help.
Well, and that's one thing too, that's a point that I like to drive a lot is I've growing up, I've always kind of been that ear, that shoulder, that, like people have always vented to me. That's just kind of my personality. I love trying to help people with that. At the end of the day though, I'm not an expert by any means. I can provide some good outside perspective and try to like, maybe point you in the right direction, but it's not necessarily going to be something that, is, like I didn't go to school for it. I just tend to have think I have a pretty good head on my shoulders at least, but like I try to provide at least perspective. And sometimes even it's just like letting your homies just vent, just let them just talk it out. Like they don't necessarily need an answer. Sometimes it's just, you need to have your feelings and opinions heard. And that's totally fine and valid. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's something that should really be encouraged these days, especially that you check on your homies, check on your friends, and just be like, hey, if you ever just need to like vent, talk. And then something that, Joe, that you like to say a lot, that I really like is, do you want me to, what is it you say? It's like, do you want me to,
do you want honesty or consolation?
Yeah, that's it. And so it's,
I've said that to both of you plenty of times.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. and that is just a really good way to sum it up. Cause because sometimes people don't want answers. They just want to bitch for a second, and that's totally fine. So, I like to be that person for people, especially my closest friends, cause I want to make sure that they're all okay. But I will, first thing I'll be like, hey, schedule some therapy, please. if I think that that's needed, but
therapist now.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you, and I mean, Hatter, you can speak on this, and I would love to hear your mental health side of things if you want to divulge, of course. This is not a necessity; it's more of a take it if you'd like. But I am very much a helper when it comes to individuals. Like I want to hear your thoughts. I might not have an answer, and if I can't provide an answer, or if I don't feel comfortable enough in providing an answer, I'm going to tell you, much like Sam said, it's time to get some help. Like, and I'm not going to name drop, but Hatter, you and I both went through a very, very similar situation with that, where unfortunately some people just don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
And the individual in question just kind of had a full falling out, and we became villains. But hey, look, like, I'd rather be a villain who told you to get some help than be a friend who is, having to talk at your eulogy.
Yeah. And
that's just how I see it. And I think that when you boil it down, like, you need to be able to discern between, can I help you, or do you need professional help? Because if you don't, like, if you don't discern between the two, you don't have those answers. You may tell somebody the wrong thing, and that's not good.
It's just going to lead down a different rabbit hole that you don't want to go down.
That's exactly right.
But yeah, like a lot of mental, especially like men's mental health, like, especially growing up with a big military family with my dad being in the Navy, my grandpa being in Vietnam. Like I was under the mentality and growing up with the dad who was big on, you're a man, you got to act like a man, you got to, all those things you said earlier, you got to provide, you got to pay the bills, you got to make sure that all the kids, the wife's taken care of and all that. And over time, I thought that's how it was. In my teen years, I suppressed my mental health immensely. I was the kid going up, being bullied constantly, and basically suppressing those feelings. And big trigger warning here, especially for that, I'm a person who has attempted suicide more than once. And I'm grateful to be here nowadays. And one of those big things, and one of those people who drove me to think like that, especially for mental health, was my dad. But even later on, learning one of the big things, especially in life, is someone may appear like this and they may appear to be fine, but they're not. And a lot of this is heavy on my father, because he finally got out of that neck of the woods where he thought, oh, I have to constantly provide. And he finally got that relief of, oh, I don't have to. I have someone who can help me. And finding out a bunch about, especially with him, because I told him, I was like, you're the man that basically taught me I have to be a man. He's like, that's not true. He's like, if you need help, get help. Because I found out my dad's taken multiple falls before. He was in mental distraught. He was an alcoholic. And like basically he told me, he's like, I needed help. I didn't know how to get that help. I was under the impression that from his father, my grandpa, who was in the jungles of Vietnam, you had to be a man.
Yeah.
And hearing, and especially with y'all, like seeing your parents, like when they break down finally and are mentally, like, you can tell they are mentally like messed up and they're like finally broke. It sucks. It sucks seeing that. And like the first time I ever seen any like hint of like a man breaking down was my dad. And that was when he found out he got his VA pension of 100%, like 100% disability. That man like had to pull over and break down because he realized, I don't have to struggle. I don't have to fight anymore. I can finally relax. And him seeing like that turnaround and seeing that the man that I looked up to as this solid, never cries, never does any of this, finally break down and open up saying like, I have been in pain for years. And it's because of that constant, I have to stick to this. I have to be this man that my kids need, that my wife needs, that my parents need. It's hard to see. And that was one of the big awakenings. That was around the time when I was going through a rough spot with my old job at a data center. And especially these two, you two know for a fact how mentally fucked up I was. Like, and it was one of those times where like I needed out of there. And it was one of those times that I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know like where to go. I didn't know where my life was taking me. And at the moment, it's not as bad as it was, but I'm currently going through one of those moments where don't know where life is taking me just because I'm not going to have a job by the end of this month. And I don't know what's going to happen. But it's the saying that, especially with Men's Mental Health Awareness Month being brought up, and just basically realizing that it's going to be okay. You got to keep your head up, and you got to go to your friends. You got to talk. You got to get that help, especially if you need it, because if not, you're going to end up in a dark ass place. And once you get into that dark place and you are immersed in it, it's hard to come out of it.
And to that point, like, that's a stigma that needs to be broken.
Yeah.
I don't think that's actually mentioned enough during Men's Mental Health, Awareness Month, is that stigma. We can celebrate men's mental health for 30 fucking days, but after that 30th day, are we just dropping back into the stigma of, okay, are you putting bread on the table? No? Well, sucks to be you then. You better go get to work. Who's the fuck, what's going on up here? You better provide. Like, I feel like that stigma remains prevalent past June. Because if it didn't, we would be able to have a completely different conversation about mental health awareness where everyone feels valid in being able to go get help. We wouldn't have guys out there who are still living in a very, gray world of, is it okay for me to open up? Like, should I go do that? I mean, hell, you have guys out there all the time, and granted it's social media and you can take it with a grain of salt, but like, you have guys who are out there all the time talking about the fact that, their partner left them or treated them differently because they finally opened up about how they were feeling. And now all of a sudden their partner sees them in a light of like weakness or just being a bitch. It's like, no, like I for lack of better terms, I'm out here ready to go play in fucking traffic. I need you to hear what I'm saying. Like, it's, we take this stigma and we go, okay, well, for 30 days, you're on the shelf. Yeah. And then once that 30th day is done, all right, you're off the shelf now. And we're going to use this whenever we want. But people don't take it seriously. Like, we need to take that step forward of recognizing, like, look, it's okay to not be okay. What's not okay is putting this giant curtain over it and going, that doesn't exist. We're okay. Like, the monsters are going to come out from behind the curtain at some point. You got to face them down.
Yeah.
But we got to stop acting like they don't exist. And that is something that's bothered me continuously when, especially talking to friends who, you know, I've talked to many of friends who are dudes who are either married or single or dating, age ranges from, you know, late teens all the way up to 60s, you know, and it's the same thing. It's like, I can't give in, because if I give in, who's going to take over while I'm down?
Yeah.
No, like, don't let that be the driving factor here. Don't let the conditional be the driving factor. You need to be like, okay, I need help. I can't provide 100% if I'm like this, so I need to take this step back and let everyone else understand, hey, I need this time. I need this to be resolved before I can continue.
Yeah.
And especially in like in a household and everything. Like, the one thing, and a lot of people, it seems like, oh, there's always the man of the household, then there's the woman, then there's the kids. And it's like, even if it's even like, especially with other families, especially my cousins and all that, when one person goes down the household, especially if it's mentally, it's not, oh, that person's out, we still need to function. No, it's, you need to help get that part of this household up. You got to help them and figure that out. It's like, you're not a machine. When one part goes out, it's like, oh, this machine's still going to keep going. No, it's one part of that machine went down. Y'all got to help fix that machine, fix that part so that the whole machine can run again.
Yeah.
It's like one goes, it's like no man left behind. That's the mentality that I feel like a lot of people don't have nowadays is, you got, if one man's left behind, you can't leave him behind. They coming with you. No man left behind.
That's why I especially like to say to anybody, and I reiterate it over and over and over again, even if I don't get a response, even if nothing's said back, I will say all the time, if you need anything, you holler.
Yeah.
Because being able to replay that in someone's head of like, oh shit. I won't divulge names. I have a prime example of this, very short. I've said it all the time. Individual in my community was going through a very rough life event, had no idea how to handle it. And I had told them before, hey, if you ever need to talk to anybody, I got you. Like, holler at me. If you need anything at all, holler at me. And they DM'd me and they told me, like, I don't know how to get through this. I didn't have the answers, but you know what I did? I sat there and I listened to them for those hours, and I provided conversation to them, and I was able to help them level themselves out just through simply talking. Like, if they changed the conversation to sports, I would talk about sports or whatever. But just being there made all the difference. It's like, don't just extend a false hand. Like, we're, to Hatter's point, no one's left behind. We are all fighting the same battle. Let's make sure we all get to the finish line then.
Yeah.
And especially like if you're in and this is one thing I will state this right now. If you were ever in a super dark place and you feel like there's no other way out, just remember 988. For the United States, 988. That is the suicide hotline. That is, if you need to, it's not even like, oh, you're about to do it. It's like, if you just need to talk to someone, 988. You can text them and you can call them.
Yeah.
It's people that you can talk to about it. And that's if you don't have anyone, you don't feel like there's anyone else who can help you. Please.
Yeah, in general, people will be willing to help. And to kind of start heading towards the right direction of wrapping this up. Like, you know, just number one, check on your friends. And this doesn't necessarily have to be just for men, of course. But with it being that month and we're all dudes, check on your homies. You know, be there for them. Regardless if it's June or not. And if you ever need anything, just like what Hat said, you know, make sure to text or call 988. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that, you know, we live in a world where kind of we have to have a month dedicated to things like that. You know, whether it's us or anything else, but, you know, hopefully kind of through these months, we can get to a point where everybody's kind of in a better headspace, or at least has the resources available to get into better headspaces. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to say this too, to very, very important things to this is, you know, number one, understand your resources. You know, if you need therapy and you're not sure if you can even get it, BetterHelp. I know that BetterHelp, some of the therapists have gotten a bad rep, but not all of them are bad. You know, the beautiful part about therapy is if the therapist doesn't work for you, you can find another one. Like, I know it might be tough, but it's worth the move. And at the same time, you know, the second point too is I really do dream of a world where we no longer pick and choose months to celebrate this, but more so celebrate it all the time. You know, like, and I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be men's mental health. Like, you know, fucking Black History Month. Well, let's celebrate Black History year round.
Yeah.
Where it's Pride Month. Let's celebrate Pride year round. Like, let's just celebrate humanity and everybody actually being in a positive headspace. Because let's be real here for a second. The world fucking sucks. Okay. Just period. The world fucking sucks. Yeah. But we all can make it better for everyone walking on it. Like, we can all celebrate each other and celebrate the successes and help people get help and recognize that we don't always have to be okay. Like, I really do dream of a world where my kids, when they get to my age, can go, you know what? It doesn't matter what time of year it is. We're celebrating because we celebrate. We're celebrating because you're happy or I'm happy or they're happy or you know, whoever. Like, everyone can finally have this level of peace and understanding and happiness that just sets the tone, you know? And I think, I really hope that everyone has that same mentality. Unfortunately, I know that there are shitheads in the world who would rather see the world burn, but the truth is, like, I genuinely hope one day we can see that where this conversation isn't, hey, there are resources for you to get help. It's, hey, we're celebrating that you got the help. We're celebrating everybody's, you know, prosperity and we can have conversations that are much more positive and light to, it's okay for you to get help, you know, like, instead of, hey, it's okay for you to get help. Like, you know, the tone difference would be enormous.
Yeah.
But one day,
maybe,
hopefully.
Yeah. But
if our alien overlords can just kind of like come down and just like take all the bad ones away, we'll be good.
Yeah. So let's just get rid of all negative emotion.
Yeah,
hey, Elon, Neuralink this shit. We need to make this happen. No.
Yep.
Yeah, like a lot of, like, with this month, I hope to God that especially with this year's men's mental health awareness month, and especially, again, it falls in month of Pride Month. That's the big one. Yep. And this year especially, like, a lot of people are weaponizing men's mental health awareness month against Pride Month, saying that one should be celebrated over the other. It's like, why can't we celebrate both?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be one month?
Yes.
It's like, I've been seeing so many people weaponizing it, and it's like, you realize, like, there are a lot of men in the community who mentally, like especially their mental health's tanked because of that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not a month to be saying, oh, which one is the better thing to celebrate. It's a matter of celebrate both and recognize both, and they need to be like, people need to be helped. And like, the reason they celebrate that month is to bring awareness to it, not just, oh, it's our 1 month, it'd be extra fruity, and oh, our mental healths and all that. Like, it's year round. Like, you got to recognize it.
It's not like,
the extra fruity part got me.
I love people who just assume that, like, June is where we're just gonna walk outside to go check our mail and just see two dudes butt fucking in the street, like, and just like,
you don't.
Like, it, yeah, right?
I've been going out to the mailbox every day. It's been crazy.
Hey,
like,
Tom, how you doing?
Fucking dudes getting spit roasted out here, you know, just, but you know, like, what we'd rather our you know, the thoughts of what could be happening go over and say, you know what, what's more important here? Like, no, who fucking cares what's more important? Let's celebrate both. Let's celebrate the fact that everyone in the LGBT community can celebrate their sexuality, but we can also celebrate the fact that men can finally be recognized of having feelings. Like,
they do.
It's kind of fucking crazy.
Fucking just quit being a bitch.
Fucking pussies.
Yeah, fucking pussies.
Bitch. But no, like, I hope one day we can get that, because
we'll get there one day.
I mean, like, just speaking from perspective, like, just and even in 1 week's time, I feel drastically better.
Yeah.
being able to vocalize my feelings, you know, and being able to put that out there in a raw and I mean, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess in a raw form without feeling like irrational. Unfiltered. There you go. Thank you. And I think everybody, not even I think, I know everybody deserves that opportunity.
Yeah.
Unconditionally, everyone deserves that opportunity.
No, conditional.
Yeah. Fucking go make your money, bitch. But no, I will say, you know, before we cut out of here, you know, just the big takeaways here is, number one, know your resources, you know, and number two, your feelings are valid. Please listen to your body. For the love of God, listen to your body. Like, your body knows so much more than you do. And especially if you're feeling like this, if you're feeling alone or just completely lost, or you feel like there's all these thoughts roaming in your head and you just can't lock in on one, like, listen to your body, get the help you need. That, I cannot state that enough. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with getting help.
Nothing at all.
So,
nothing.
Any other closing remarks from the two of you?
I said my piece earlier.
Don't be a bitch. Get some help and love yourself.
I
didn't say any better myself.
Honestly. Well, Hat, thanks for joining us, man.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us. Make sure, hey, all of you, make sure to go click those links down in the description. Go follow our boy Hatter and tell him in the comments, thank you for joining us at the last minute. You'll find out Saturday again as to why. It's very, very comical. But make sure to go do that. Show him all the love. Go follow him on YouTube. Go follow him on Twitch. Go follow him on TikTok. Show him all that love. He's trying to hit full-time content. So let's show him why he deserves it.
I might be that Tom out by your mailbox fucking a dude.
Morning, Bob.
How you doing? You want to join in?
You can get the front.
I got the loot.
Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Drop in the comments, you know, your thoughts on what we talked about today. And if you're a dude who's watching this, feel free to drop in the comments your thoughts as well, and how you're feeling. Let us know how you're feeling.
Yep.
For real. Be honest. Be raw.
Love you.
Let us know how you're feeling. Make sure to like the video. Subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 1,000. We greatly appreciate everybody who subscribed so far. Thank you to all the lousy listeners. And we'll see y'all on Saturday.
Peace.
Bye.
Whoop.